So after the passing of Xxxtentacion, many fans were left with confusion and were wondering how they were going to get through their life when somebody they looked up to was tragically killed. And it was clear that X really left a mark on his legacy at the age of 20 with the mixtape Revenge and his 2 studio albums at the time, and 17, which were both massively successful with songs like Jocelyn Flores, Sad, Moonlight, Changes, and many more. And with X obviously being a popular music artist, a lot of his fans were wondering what was next for him and what would be his first posthumous album. So shortly after X died, his fans were doing a lot of digging and research from his archive or deleted posts that he made, and there was one post that sticked out from the others, where on April 28th, 2018, he did a quick post and delete where the caption said, "Skins the album, coming soon." And as a picture, there was a caution tape on it. So right there, that basically confirmed that X, he was working on his next project already prior to his death. And within those coming months, X would preview new tracks that he was working on that were rumored to be on Skins. Then, as we all know, on June 18th, X got shot and killed at a motorcycle dealership.
Now, on the ambush and murder of a 20-year-old rapper in Broward County, it appears 2 men were trying to rob him. CBS 4's Oralia Ortega is working this story live in Deerfield Beach. Oralia.
Rutabe, this is something that has really stunned fans of Xxxtentacion, a rising star here in South Florida.
So with a lot of his fans now knowing that X had a project he was working on, X's team came to the conclusion that that would be his first posthumous album. And on November 9th, 2018, they would release the first single for that project called Bad, which would debut at 16 on the Billboard Hot 100 and go on to be platinum. And as a side note, prior to his death, X would post the lyrics of this song on his Tumblr account. Following the release of Bad, a week later, his team would post the album cover on his account. And as you could tell by the cover art, the picture was taken at a Rolling Loud set in 2018 where X was performing at, which is super eerily because also his last post on his Instagram was taken there too. And after the cover art, they would post a track list too, where it would have 10 tracks with 1 being an introduction and 2 features, from Kanye West on 1 Minute and Travis Barker on Staring at the Sky. And originally in mind that all Juice WRLD was supposed to be on that song, which John Cunningham confirmed on his Twitter, with him saying Juice was supposed to get on Whoa. And every time I hear his voice, I think about how beautiful it would have been, but for some unknown reason, his verse didn't get cleared. And once this album was released, it was met with mixed reviews from a critical standpoint and from his fan base, where their main problem were saying that the album seemed unfinished and the project was too short.
And that's it. X's label didn't even properly mix these tracks before they came out. The Difference interlude is another completely unnecessary and tedious moment on this record. The thought that an album like this could have an interlude when it sounds nearly as demo quality and just as brief as everything else on here. Somehow this thing sounds less finished than many of the roughly recorded emo folk cuts off of X's 17, and even some of that turns up on this thing, most notably on the closer. The fact that Empire would drop this album in the state that it is just goes to show how desperate they are to get more streams off of X's name, and that's it. Because they're literally just reassembling the cutting room floor and painting it as an album. One more thing that makes me feel that way is that this album doesn't—
because even though the album have 10 tracks, the first one's an introduction where there's just a robot talking for like 10 to 15 seconds. And then on track 8, there's an interlude called Difference, where it sounds like there is recording X off a phone while singing the acoustic. And even though her project itself is only 20 minutes, which could be a length of an EP, but despite all that, the album would still do massively well, selling over 132,000 copies in the first week, with 52,000 copies coming from pure album sales, and it generated about 122 million streams, with every song on there charting on the Billboard Hot 100. So it was a massive commercial success, and the album would last on the Billboard 200 charts for 18 weeks. Now my opinions on Skins, I don't think it was a bad album at all. And to the X fans who was disappointed about this project being so short, I just find it kind of weird that y'all think that, cause 17 it was short itself. In fact, the project's practically identical to Skins, with it being 11 tracks and 22 minutes long, which is still the same average of a 10-track, 20-minute long album. Now I will say a song like Whoa, Mind and All or Staring at the Sky do seem unfinished, and I did wish they would have added that Juice WRLD verse to the song, just so it didn't seem like it was an instrumental playing for like 30 seconds. But other than that, I really enjoyed the album, and I kind of feel like some of X's best songs is on here too, like Train Food, I Don't Let Go, and even What Are You So Afraid Of was a beautiful way to end the album. But clearly I noticed after the first week of this project doing doing good, it would quickly fall off the charts from everywhere after that. And I know I just said it stayed on the Billboard 200s for 18 weeks, but when you compare that to his prior 2 albums which lasted on the Billboard 200s way longer than that, it shows overall that the fans in the mainstream really didn't care for this album. Even the songs besides Bad didn't really perform too well either. And I get that X, he was going for a darker theme for this project, not really the commercial mainstream route like what he did with Question Mark, but clearly these songs really didn't hit the same and didn't have that much replay value to it. But ultimately, overall, I think Skins really tainted his legacy, at least from a music aspect, to fans wanting more music by him, cause a lot of them came to the conclusion that he clearly didn't have a lot of finished songs left, and all they did was go back and listen to Question Mark at 17 to appreciate the art that he put out when he was alive. And to a lot of casual rap fans, this album right here was like a curse, cause this project was like the start of a whole generation of posthumous albums, where fans would criticize it and say that it's a cash grab, whether it would later happen to Pop Smoke, Juice WRLD, and even X again with Bad Vibes Forever. I just feel like this album was harshly criticized for no reason, cause the expectation for this project was too high for X, and it was never gonna live up to that, especially with him not being here no more. We could only imagine if he was still alive how good this project would turn out to be. But these are my thoughts and opinions on the Skins album that X made. And do you think with the mixed reception that Skins got, it was an overhated album, or the backlash to this project was justified? Be sure to leave your opinions in the comment section down below. Make sure you like the video and subscribe.
Playing X, it was a bunch of fucking hood rats that were doing nothing. Everybody was drinking and smoking. They found something that made them feel better, you know. Made them feel like it's okay to scream. Made them feel like it's okay to be yourself, even if you're a shitbag. And he inspired everybody. He inspired everybody around me. And he created all this shit. He created all this shit. Like, there's like fucking like thousands of people here. That's fucking crazy. Like, for one person to do that, that's amazing. Like, the fact that this happened is tragic, but I moved out that shit and I'm out here because of that motherfucker, because I saw all the shit that he did. I want to do something with that with my life. Thank you. That's all I gotta say. Thank you.